Hey guys, Spirit of the Law here. This video is all about the Imperial Skirmisher. It's a unique upgrade for the Vietnamese and their allies, unless your ally happens to be the Turks. The bonus though only gives you the option to make them, so we'll take a look at what the upgrade is offering and how it compares in some field tests to the regular Elite Skirmisher. Let's check it out. First, let's look at them compared to a regular Elite Skirmisher in terms of stats. The Vietnamese already have some of the best skirmishers with an extra 20% HP in Imperial Age, but you might see regular Imperial Skirmishers from a Vietnamese ally as well. In fact, without the Civ bonus, we can see they have the same HP as the Elite Skirmisher. To start with the most direct comparison, one-on-one with generic civilizations, the Imperial Skirmisher is doing 1 more damage to an enemy skirmisher, and ends with 20% HP left. In groups of 20 versus 20, that snowballs a bit to around 31% of the Imperial Skirmisher's HP remaining. Technically, that's even underselling the upgrade a bit, since the extra 1 pierce armor isn't having an effect here. We'll take a look at how that factors into their effectiveness against archers in a minute. Let's switch things up though and take a look at those tests again, but this time with Vietnamese Imperial Skirmishers getting their extra 20% HP boost. This time they end up with 35% of their HP remaining, which means the snowball effect is even larger. Against regular Elite Skirmishers 20 versus 20, the Vietnamese end up with half their HP remaining and most of their units surviving. In fact, even outnumbered by 25%, Imperial Skirmishers can still reliably win. You'll need about a 30% numbers advantage before Elite Skirmishers can start to win sometimes. Moving on, the cost of the upgrade is 300 wood and 450 gold, which is considerably more than the Elite Skirmisher upgrade, but cheaper than the halberdier and hussar upgrades. In terms of total resources, that's equivalent to 12.5 skirmishers, but assuming you're getting the gold from a bottomed out market, it would take selling around 3,200 food or wood to get that much gold, which is the equivalent cost of about 60 skirmishers. On paper, that sounds like a lot for 1 attack and 1 armor. Quite often though, upgrades like this have more going on than just their visible stats. For example, the Imperial Skirmisher is significantly more accurate at long range. That is, until you have Thumb Ring, in which case all types of skirmishers become 100% accurate against non-moving targets. The 2 units are also created at the exact same rate, both fire and move at the same speed, and neither one benefits from extra firing rate from Thumb Ring. They can also both perform a magic trick where they can summon an infinite number of javelins from thin air. So far, there's not that much hidden stuff going on. The big hidden difference is in their bonus damage. Against archers, the Imperial Skirmisher has 5 bonus damage instead of 4, and takes out fully upgraded arbalests 1 shot sooner. It's also the same story against hand cannoneers and means they take them out in 4 shots instead of the regular 5. Against cavalry archers, they do 4 extra bonus damage instead of 2, which means it only takes 7 shots instead of 9. They both have the same +3 damage against spear units, but because of their 1 extra attack, they do have a slight advantage and take out halberdiers in 9 shots instead of the regular 10. Here's a list of all of those bonuses with the regular skirmisher in there for comparison. So those are all the numbers going on in the background, but let's see in practice how they do against various units. We already saw against Elite Skirmishers that Imperial ones do better both as a generic civilization and especially when it's a Vietnamese player. Against arbalests, we see a big difference in the results when they're outnumbered. Here we have 12 skirmishers against 20 arbalests, and the extra attack, pierce armor, and bonus damage all add up to much more effectiveness against archers. The Vietnamese bonus HP is actually relatively small in comparison. It's the same thing with hand cannoneers. When they outnumber elite skirmishers, they can come out of fights with pretty reasonable losses, but would need some pretty overwhelming numbers to hold up against the Imperial Skirmisher. As a support unit for halberdiers in trash fights, elite skirmishers are generally worth mixing in, but when they become Imperial Skirmishers with the extra attack, it's a pretty obvious advantage. On the other hand, against cavalry, they'll obviously be terrible either way given their minimum range. Against siege as well, they're both pretty ineffective to a comparable extent. Since it's a team unit though, let's take a quick look at some allies that get some extra benefit. The Aztecs, for example, have a lot of good synergy because of their unique tech that gives their skirmishers +1 attack and range. They're missing the last armor upgrade, but the Imperial Skirmishers' extra pierce armor slightly offsets that fact. The Incas also have a slight boost with no minimum range on their skirmishers, though if you're using them right, they shouldn't see a lot of melee combat anyway. The Britons are also worth a mention with their extra 1 range, which is certainly nice to have, and helps out against the skirmishers you'll probably be seeing used against your archers. The Byzantines also benefit a lot since their trash units are cheaper. The halberdiers don't get all the upgrades, but the skirmishers do. And with Imperial Skirmishers, they're just that much more overpowered in the super late game trash fights. And lastly, just a quick note on the Italians. They used to have extra armor on their skirmishers, but that was taken out in a later patch. At this point, they're just generic Imperial Skirmishers, though they will work together nicely with the Genoese crossbow against cavalry and archers. So that's the Imperial Skirmisher. It's a pretty nice little team bonus, and hopefully that gives you an idea of what you can expect from them. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.